Micah Parsons just said that sacking Dak Prescott is going to be painful. And if you're a Cowboys fan, your stomach probably flipped for a second. I want you to hear me out. That line is doing a lot of heavy lifting in the headlines because it hits two things fans hate. One, it's personal, and two, it's symbolic. On the surface, you can take it as Micah being respectful. Dak's my guy, this will be painful because we're friends. And that's one reading. The other reading, the one that sells, clicks, and makes fans sweat, is the cinematic, teeth-grinding version. He's coming for him, and it's going to be brutal. The truth, as usual, lives somewhere between those extremes. And that's the sweet spot we're going to live in for this whole breakdown. Look, you know the pattern. A player leaves Dallas, and suddenly everyone acts surprised when they level up elsewhere. We've seen that story more than once. Players leave, they blossom, and the fan base immediately starts playing the what-if game. That reaction isn't just on the players. It's on all of us who invested hope and frustration into roster decisions. So when Micah says something like this, it doesn't exist in a vacuum. It taps into a bigger wound about personnel strategy, missed windows, and the emotional whiplash of watching a former Cowboy thrive. Before we dive deeper, quick favor. If you're into these deep but real takes and want to help this channel hit 16,000 subscribers, smash that subscribe button and hit the bell so you don't miss the breakdowns. Also, drop in the comments right now. Quick poll. Do you think Micah will go easy on Dak? Type A for yes, B for no. I'm reading these. Now let's be blunt for a second. Athletes are competitive by nature. They're friends, they're brothers, but the field is a different language. Micah can love Dak off the field and still rush the passer with everything he's got on the field. That duality is uncomfortable, and that discomfort is exactly why this line landed so hard. In the next segment, we'll unpack the relationship between Micah and Dak, what mentorship looked like in the locker room, and whether you should expect any real restraint when the pads come on. But before that, tell me in the comments the most surprising ex-Cowboy you thought would flop but ended up balling out. I want to see the answers, and we'll compare notes. Micah didn't just throw out a one-liner to stir things up. There's real history here. Dak Prescott wasn't just another quarterback to him. He was a mentor. Think about the dynamic in that Cowboys locker room for a second. Micah was the young star on defense, the guy everyone saw as the future face of the franchise, and Dak was the established leader, the quarterback who had to balance being a teammate, a captain, and sometimes even a big brother figure. When Micah says, "It's going to be painful," part of that is acknowledging that respect. He's not lining up against some random quarterback. He's lining up against a guy who helped him acclimate to the league, who he watched lead the huddle, who he shared wins and frustrations with. That adds layers of complexity to this matchup. But here's the flip side. Football is a business. Once the whistle blows, emotions don't stop pass rushers. Micah can shake Dak's hand before the game, swap jerseys after, and still hit him with every ounce of intensity in between. That's the nature of professional competition. And let's be real, Micah's not the type to take his foot off the gas. If anything, being close to Dak could push him harder. He's wired to prove something every snap, and facing a former teammate gives him the extra edge. Now here's the real question for you. Should players actually ease up on friends in live action? Some fans say no. The game is too fast, too brutal, and any hesitation could get you or your teammate hurt. Others argue there's a line between competing hard and going for the jugular against someone you call family. What do you think? Drop it in the comments. Yes or no? Should teammates take it easy when they're lining up across from each other? This is where perspective matters. For fans, seeing Micah drive through Dak is emotional, almost like watching two brothers fight. For the players, it's the job. They've both said before that competition is part of the respect they share. The fact that it's painful is almost proof of that bond. But don't confuse pain with mercy. If the sack is there, Micah's taking it. Here's where things cut deep. And I know you feel this as much as I do. It's not just about Micah lining up against Dak. It's about the pattern. Time and time again, we've watched the Cowboys let guys walk or pass on the chance to add proven veterans and then sit back while those same players shine somewhere else. That's why Micah's situation feels heavier. It's not an isolated case. It's part of a history of decisions that left this fan base shaking its head. Think about it. Dorrance. Armstrong goes to Washington, and suddenly he's racking up sacks. Malik Collins is balling out. Chidobe Awuzie turns into a reliable corner elsewhere. The list doesn't stop there. You know it, I know it. The Cowboys have a knack for either undervaluing their own guys or overvaluing stopgap signings that never really pan out. And when that happens, fans are stuck asking, what if? What if we'd held on to the right players or paid just a little more to keep a leader in the building? That's why seeing Micah on the other side of the ball hurts in a way that stats can't fully explain. He wasn't just a good player. He was supposed to be the cornerstone. When you let someone like that slip through, every time he makes a play in another uniform, it feels like salt in the wound. And when that play happens against Dak, the quarterback this front office has leaned on for years, it stings twice as hard. Now let me throw this one at you. Which roster move still bugs you the most? Was it letting a guy walk in free agency or trading away someone you believed still had more in the tank? Drop the name in the comments. I'm curious to see which decisions left the deepest mark on fans like you. This frustration isn't just about players, though. It's about the way the front office operates. Time and again, they've tried to save a few bucks, gone cheap at key positions, or rolled the dice on position flex instead of investing in proven difference makers. And what happens? The roster looks good on paper in camp, but once the season starts, the cracks show up. That's the cycle. And Micah leaving is the latest reminder of how that cycle punishes fans. So when he says, it's going to be painful, he might be talking about the personal side. But for Cowboys Nation, that pain is magnified by years of organizational decisions that haven't added up. Which brings us to Dak Prescott, the player who takes most of the heat for these shortcomings, even when the numbers tell a different story. Say Dak's name, and you immediately split the room. Half the people will tell you he's not good enough, the other half will point out the numbers and the context, and the truth usually gets lost in the noise. But here's the thing. Dak's performance has not been the problem people make it out to be. The stats show it. He's been near the top of the league in passing yards, he's carried this offense through injuries and inconsistent support, and yet he's the one who gets scapegoated every time something goes wrong. Why? Because blaming the quarterback is easy. It's the most visible position, and when the team falls short, fans and media want a simple answer. But football isn't simple. Dak can throw for 350 yards, but if the defense can't get a stop or the offensive line folds under pressure, the loss goes on his shoulders anyway. And that's where this whole Dak sucks narrative falls apart. He doesn't. What sucks is the situation around him. Now put Micah Parsons into that mix. The headline of him going up against Dak plays right into the narrative that Dak can't handle big moments. But let's be fair here. Micah would be a nightmare for any quarterback, not just Dak. That's what makes him special. So when we see that matchup, it shouldn't be twisted into proof of anything negative about Prescott. It should be recognized as what it is. An elite pass rusher testing his skills against a veteran quarterback who's been carrying more weight than most people give him credit for. So let me ask you straight up. Do you think Dak is underrated? Give this video a thumbs up if you believe he's better than the critics say, or a thumbs down if you're not buying it. And if you've got a favorite stat that proves Dak's value, drop it in the comments. I want to see what numbers fans are holding on to. The bigger point here is this. Dak's abilities are not the root of the Cowboys' struggles, just like Micah's departure wasn't about his talent. The common thread is the organization's decision-making. And that brings us right back to why this moment, Micah lining up across from Dak, feels like more than just one play. It's a symbol of what could have been if this front office had made different choices. Here's what to watch for when these two finally meet on the field. The biggest question isn't whether Micah Parsons will sack Dak Prescott. It's how he'll react if he does. Will it be business as usual, a standard celebration, or will there be a moment of hesitation, maybe even a hand to help Dak up? That body language will tell you a lot about how Micah balances friendship with competition. On Dak's side, the reaction matters too. Does he smile it off as a brotherly clash? Or does he fire back with the kind of drive that proves he's not backing down no matter who's across from him? And beyond just the one-on-one battle, this matchup symbolizes something bigger for Cowboys Nation. It's a reminder of how talent decisions can shape not only the roster, but the emotions of the fan base. Watching Micah thrive elsewhere, especially at Dak's expense, is the kind of moment that cuts deeper than a box score. It's about pride, identity, and the sense that the organization hasn't always protected its own. So here's the real challenge for you. After this game, how will you feel? More hopeful that Dak can weather anything, or more worried about what the Cowboys have let slip away? I'll put that poll at the top. Vote hopeful or worried. And if you've made it this far into the breakdown, do me a favor. Hit that subscribe button to help us get to 16,000 subscribers. It's free, it helps the channel grow, and it makes sure you never miss these deep dives on the stories that matter most to Cowboys fans. Because at the end of the day, whether you see this as painful, poetic, or just part of the game, one thing's clear. Micah versus Dak isn't just about two players. It's about everything the Cowboys have been and everything they're still trying to be.